We're talking about AI and we're talking about some concerns that we have. So we talked about the job situations and the job loss and the concerns related to that. But there's other things to even talk about, how responsibly we can use AI and what's the ethical side of it and things like that. So the floor is open to you guys. I'm here to listen and learn from you guys.
Yeah. It's very interesting that again, we can go back to the Bible so reliably even for this, right? And especially for this, above all else, how to be responsible and ethical while using AI. The core principle again comes back to how do I love my neighbor? Mm-hmm. And in this case, the tool that I'm interacting with has global repercussions. You're talking about an industry that's just starting to form, and the rules and regulations around which are still being thought through. And what better a place for believers to plug in and create impact, but in plugging into the ethics of AI. And creating that awareness and being the frontiers of leading these movements. Mm-hmm. These movements have already begun. Mm-hmm. People are already working towards defining these rules and regulations, training LLMs on the right ethics and morality. The question we need to ask is, where are we in all of this, and how are we loving not just our immediate neighbors, and in this case, our neighbors are everywhere. Anybody mm-hmm. with the access to the internet is our neighbor, because that's how accessible AI has made everything. But what about the generations to come? Is it only us who are benefiting out of it, mm-hmm. or us who are going to see the cost of it? No, it's going to be for generations to come. So
yeah. Thank you for putting that. On a side note, I'm reminded of another neighbor who has been affected by this whole thing. And this is new Ghibli artwork that's come, and someone is affected. A lot of people are affected by it, or not a lot of people, but a lot of people are enjoying from it. But there are some concerns related to that. So how do we decide? Like, imagine that's a trend that's happening, right? Like, how do we decide? Should we use it? Should we not use it? Like, how do we? What are some?
I think we should first address the controversy. Is it Ghibli or is it Ghibli?
Oh, okay. Well, I am not the person to say that.
I can take that controversy up. You take the others.
I mean, I think that's the fact that it's trendy, mm-hmm. even, right? Like, I didn't know about it, but somebody told me, hey, check this out. Mm-hmm. And then next thing I know, like, half of my friends' WhatsApp statuses, photos are all, Ghibli style images and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, at first I was like, oh, that's cool. So they said, go do this. Mm-hmm. And I did it, mm-hmm. right? They said, check this out, put this in mm-hmm. your prompt. We were talking about prompt.
You did it?
I did it, yeah. Of course.
You didn't think about it?
I didn't think about it.
Very sad.
I didn't think about it. And that's exactly the point we're trying to make, right? Is like, I didn't realize there were issues.
Mm-hmm. Right? You can say what the issues are.
Yeah. You can definitely get into that in a second. But like, the call to everyone who's listening, especially as AI becomes more prevalent and there's more and more use cases that come up, like, realize that there's maybe stuff happening in the background that as believers we should think mm-hmm. before we act, mm-hmm. right? I'm not regretting my decision. It's still an open discussion. We can discuss it together here and all that kind of stuff. It's very deep. But the point is, a lot of us don't even realize. Mm-hmm. And somebody says, hey, check this out, and we do it.
Yeah.
Right? We don't think about, are there any other implications mm-hmm. to me engaging in this way?
Yeah. Do you want to tell the concerns that?
So I'm not an expert, okay? Like, I'm probably the most normal person who just saw headlines. Yeah.
Hold on, let me give more context. She was the one who called me out on using Ghibli because I made a video and I put Ghibli images in it, and then instead of being impressed by how amazing the video was, which if you want I can share it with all of you later, but anyway, she was like, oh, you use Ghibli, right? And then she went on to give me more insight. So anyway, go ahead.
So this is just from headline, and actually I'll talk about that part also, but I was just seeing articles coming up mm-hmm. Talking about how a co-founder of that studio had spoken out against using AI mm-hmm. Because it like it's like your creative mind is doing the art, and
Yeah.
now you're just letting a machine basically
Yeah.
kind of almost steal the ideas
Mhm.
of humans. At least some people say that that's kind of what's happening, right? Even in music, you can generate a song,
Mhm.
but it's based off of thousands of songs that other people have created, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's an ethical concern
Mhm.
that some people have about, is that okay to do that? Not giving credit, not giving money, or even just us enjoying content that's
Mhm.
like created this way.
Yeah.
So that was what I saw, and then I think it ties in with this conversation. What we actually realized once I clicked on an article was that he had made this comment quite a few years ago. So I thought it was addressing what was happening right now with this
Mhm.
trend,
Mhm.
and he made a comment right now.
Okay.
But it's actually something from years ago.
Okay.
So why I bring that up also is because one of the things that happens online is sometimes it's a catchy headline and
Mhm.
it doesn't really tell you the full truth.
Yeah.
So even with these things,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I think the idea is to be mindful, right?
Yeah,
And like
yeah, yeah.
research, and I
Yeah.
didn't do a good job doing that at first, also. So yeah.
In fact, it's very interesting that you mentioned that we don't.
It's very interesting. Whenever you start a conversation, you say it's very interesting.
Just kidding. Switch it up. Because I'm really interested in this. Man. It is.
kidding,
It is. It's interesting to see how it's stitching up. Because what I had in mind when you were talking about the effects of AI and how oblivious we are to the effects that it could have when we're mindlessly using it. Of course, an effect that we wouldn't know immediately, but when you look up on what are the resources it takes to generate at least one such output is about 2 to 6 liters of water trying to just cool the data systems trying to run it.
Oh,
And
that one picture.
that one picture we're talking about.
Oh, wow,
And,
okay.
and
So hold on. Make sure people are following, right? Because we talked earlier about what is AI, and I think we just think of AI as like, I'm going to say something's going to come here. But we mentioned earlier that there's a lot of data that went into creating LLMs, right? And then to do all the processing that's required to generate images, create new data. That data that's actual data. Like there are data centers that are out there, massive data centers that are out there. So when he's saying, it's like 2 to 3 liters of water, that's literal water at a literal place, literally cooling a system that is creating an image.
that you are heating to generate the image. Yeah, absolutely. And that's just one effect of it that we are talking about here, which begs us to question. We don't go into the technicalities of, hey, is this the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do? That's not what we're trying to address here, really. But are we being intentional in the impact we are creating while interacting with these services is what we have to really think about. The impact that it's creating on, the impact it's having on people and their perception of it, and how could I be loving in that area? How could I be sensitive to those that are, maybe it could be about correcting a certain person's perspective on AI, right? And telling them that, hey, it also opens up opportunities for creativity. It doesn't just destroy them. In fact, for those that don't know how to draw but have a lot of ideas, suddenly they feel so engaged and powerful. So there is the good to it, and there is also the cost at which it comes at. We should be intentional about evaluating both sides when taking these decisions.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, there's just one article that I want to mention that I was looking at, and there are a lot of believers already out there who are putting up articles trying to be intentional about this kind of thinking. One of the articles that I came across was by Apologist Project, which talks about talks about how Christianity's interacted with AI over the last few decades, with tech over the last few decades, and then it talks about how do we leverage technology for Christ, and it's not just one person, it's about 60 odd believers coming together discussing this. So that's great. It's that's something that we can look out for constantly and see.
So there are some resources that are there out that can help us think through these kind of things. Like we might be just scratching the surface, but many of them have come and thought about this very intentionally, and maybe we'll share the link also. But I was also thinking the other thing that I think Hannah, you were talking about is even talking about intellectual property, right? Like, and could you expand a little bit on that, like with respect to even this Ghibli thing, right? It's someone else's content, or how do we deal with that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. So here's the thing. I'm not saying what is right or wrong. Like, I'm not coming out with anything like that, right?
Yeah.
But I know personally a little bit, and then just generally what I've heard online is this kind of thing of, if I create something myself and then someone else just takes it and uses it, is that right? Right? And I think there's laws about that, and it's a little tricky right now with AI because it's massive amounts of data, and the way that it's all handled, like I don't even know the ins and outs of it too much. I think, I don't know, for me it's more about just considering like this idea of, if we can, should we, like asking that question, because I think there are worldviews out there that if you can, you should. Like, there's nothing stopping you. Like, more atheist or naturalist worldview, there's they don't have the moral framework we do, right? So if you can, you should. But as Christians, that's not where we're coming at it from, right? So we should ask questions. And treating creators with respect, I think, is good also. But I'm not saying.
Yeah, and maybe even considering,
which way.
I don't know, like there are no proper rules probably, I'm not sure of it, but like if someone is not comfortable stealing their material, right? Like should we not? Like these are things to think about. Like we like you said, you got this and you just took it, right? Like we don't think so much into depth, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the point of doing these videos. Is there are things that are happening that people aren't thinking about, and we don't want to give you answers. We want to invite you to start thinking, especially because AI is doing a lot of thinking for us these days. So supposedly we have more time to think now. So let's start thinking, right? And going back to what Hannah was saying about the AI that we see, or any of the stuff that we're engaging with, often is coming from a mind, a heart, a worldview somewhere, right? And that introduces a lot of interesting questions, right? So what worldviews are driving AI, right? And if we're thinking about responsible, ethical AI, as believers, I think we would all agree that our ethics come from Scripture. What we do as people, as believers, we go back to Scripture to say, what should we do? What is right? What is wrong? Why are we leaving that out? Why are we leaving that out of something that's transforming our world? Right. So as believers, I feel like we especially out of love and care to not harm people around us, to prevent people from being harmed, to respect each other and to respect intellectual property, all these things. These are things that, as believers, I feel like we should be the ones kind of driving the conversation almost. And there's just a couple of specific points I want to throw out there as things that people should be thinking about when they think about AI responsibly and ethically. And one of that is a lot of times the data that's out there is not necessarily curated data. Sometimes it is, which could also be a bad thing. But basically, the idea is it's based on data, and that data often can be biased. It could prefer someone or something over another unfairly.
True.
Right? And again, fairness, like we know that our God is a just God, right? And He's a gracious God, and there's all of these characteristics of the Lord that we know and we've experienced in our lives. And so just operating it, seeing the world from that point of view and saying, okay, is there bias in the algorithm or is there bias in the AI? Should there be bias in the AI? Right? Like all of these questions are questions that I think that we as believers should be asking and thinking about. And then practically, right, get involved. Like we should get involved with shaping AI. And determining what is right, what is wrong with AI. Otherwise, people somewhere else with different agendas, different worldviews, are just going to create it for us, and then we're just going to be left adopting.